One beekeeper, 254 colonies. Can you do this, Vino Farm? Why do I pick on Vino Farm? Because of all the beekeepers on YouTube, he gives the worst advice. I don't watch his videos, but the titles of his videos, super insulating a hive and closing up the upper entrances, and then that's bee barn bullshit. It's all nonsense. I use a Langstroth hive. I'm fairly successful, and the biggest issue for most beekeepers in the United States is the crop farmers' toxic chemicals that they're spreading in the environment. I've been lucky this spring. I haven't noticed my bees dying, but most of the time the farmers are out in the field. They don't care about the wind, they don't care about anybody else in the area, and the chemicals blow on to my property and it affects my bees. So a lot of people in the United States having the same issue, and your bees bring this stuff in throughout the summer, and it doesn't really harm them that much, but it shortens their life during the winter. It gets in the honey, the pollen, and then wax. It shortens their life during the winter. That's the hardest thing for me, is to keep my colonies alive through winter. It's not the cold, Vino Farm. It's the fact that the colonies are dying from the toxic chemicals in the hive. All right? You know, if you have a healthy colony, the cold is not going to be an issue. I've had colonies out here underneath this roof during polar vortexes back in 2015, 2014, around that time frame, and they did just fine. The cold does not harm honeybees if the cluster can maintain its size. But when they start dying from the toxic chemicals shortening their life, yeah, your clusters get small and they're going to have a hard time. So let me pause this. I still have around 10 queens from 2020, and some of them were doing really well, but I decided rather than letting them go through the summer, I went ahead and I split them again. Like these four right here, 2020 queens. Last year I let some go, and they got really large during the summer, and they made a lot of honey, and at the end of the summer the queen pittered out or died, and they failed to produce a new queen. So if you don't help the honeybees, you're not going to be successful. You have to help them, force them to make new queens early in the summer. And here's a row. There's 254 colonies on my property. I normally take colonies to an organic hay farmer. Well, the other things besides just hay, but he's an organic farmer. He hasn't cut the hay yet where I normally put my honeybees. He's in the process of cutting it now, or he already done it yesterday. So I wanted to videotape my 254 colonies, not a videotape, but video my 254 colonies before I start moving them out. There's my agouti husky. Natasha, you're a good girl. So today I did 12, and what I've done with today is if I know which hive has the queen, I make sure they have 2/3 of the bees. But I do make sure when I split a colony in half, both halves have eggs, and if I don't see the queen, I'm not going to spend the time to look for her. I just go ahead, make it 50-50, and I'll take the queen to a different location. And I got some large colonies here that don't have old queens. These are the ones that are going to make honey for me this year. And believe it or not, a lot of my mating nukes, I started out with 5-frame, and they fill the frames full of honey, so that when they fail to produce a virgin queen, and I do it again, I reboot it again, I turn it into a 7-frame. And then if they fail again the second time, then I make it a full 10-frame. There's a 7 right there, see? My method of doing mating nukes is better than anybody else's in the world. Like, I'll start out with 2 insulated fillers, 1 on each side, and make it a 5-frame nuke. And then as the colony grows, if they fail to do a virgin queen and I add another frame of brood, the colony gets a little larger, and they're filling out these frames with honey, so I have to add some frames. This one right here is on its second try. So they get about three 3 tries through summer, and if they don't do it in 3 tries, they'll get combined with another county, because end of July I give up. I'm not going to do any through August. That's when robbing starts to be an issue. So well, here's a mistake. I'll get that later. But anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know, if you're following me and you're not following anybody else, you're doing well, because I'm the only beekeeper on YouTube that's telling you about the toxic chemicals. I'm not making any money doing these videos, so I'm not getting any advertising income. So I could care less about corporate sponsors. Maybe Vino Farm cares about that, and he's not going to mention that stuff, but I could care less. Okay, my number one enemy is the United States government. I'm not a friend of the U.S. government. They've done a lot of things to me over the years. Russia's not my enemy. China's not my enemy. So if you notice, I've got a Z and a V in the back of my truck, if you've seen some of my videos. Russia's winning in Ukraine. Basically, the United States is losing, because it's a proxy war. So why not just say it, United States, you're losing, you're getting your ass kicked by Russia. And then you think you want to take on China? Oh my God, these politicians in the United States, what a bunch of idiots. They're crazy, a bunch of nuts. And they're all doing this for the rich people. The rich people want to own the world, basically. That's what they're trying to do, own the world. All right? So like I said before, Uncle Sam's fucking you up the ass. You go ahead, wave your flag, be a proud American, but when he's all done fucking you and you end up with nothing, you got nobody to blame but yourself, okay? Thank you.